कंजलोचन कंजमुख कर कंजपद कंजारुणम
Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Kandarpaganita Amita Chavi Navanila Nirada Sundaram Patapita Manahutadita Ruchi Shuchi Naomi Janaka Sutavaram Shri Ramchandra Kripalu Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadaram Ram Shri Ram Bhajadina Bandham Dinesha Tanavadaityavam Shanikandanam Raghunandananda Kanda Koshala Chanda Dashrathanandanam Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram Siramukuta Kundala Tilakachan Udaru Anga Vibhushanam Ajanu Bhuja Shara Chapadhar Sangrama Jit Khar Dushan Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram Iti vadati tulsidas shankara Shesha Muni Manaranjanam Mama Hridaya Kanjani Vasa Guru Kamadi Khalidal Ganjanam Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana Harana Bhava Bhayadaram Shri Ram, Shri Ram
How can I help? Yeah.
Father, you mentioned last time that nowadays you are working on your anger.
Yeah.
So definitely what you define as anger and I define must be different.
Must be
Must be
different.
different. I can't imagine you need to work on that. But can you talk more on that, Father? So what does it mean? And
Yeah.
it's true for everything, not only for anger.
It's been a project that's been on for a few months or maybe a year or so now, that after hearing Anandmayi Ma saying that we must never get angry, of course, we've heard it from so many before that, but it suddenly hit home one day, and I decided that come what may, I will not get angry. And I feel like with that intention, with that decision, I don't know, you have to ask my family and others, but I feel that 70-80% of it is reduced since then. And I noticed that it doesn't come with full-on anger. It starts as an irritation. You see? But in that irritation, there's bound to be a lack of faith in God. You see? Try to get irritated while having faith in God. And irritation is when I know better. You see? Things should be different from what they are. This is not right, this is not fair. What this person is doing is incorrect. I am right, you are wrong. And we take justice in our own hands instead of having faith that God is here and He is taking care of everything. So now the project is more and more, I still find myself from time to time getting irritated, just quickly getting in the groove of irritation. So that is the project more now. That the full-blown anger, I don't feel like I've gone to so much in the last many months, but I still find myself getting caught up in that thought signal of being right, you see, and that irritation can come only in that belief in that idea. So that is the current project. So ask me more.
So me getting into anger and controlling it, you are saying you are, even at the irritation level, you are getting, remembering God and trying to, I'm not still understand what your project is, like how different it would be from anyone
So
else not
we
trying to
notice
get.
that when we are irritated, it is the forgetting of God. No? I try to be irritated while remembering that God is here and He's taking care of everything.
So it's true for all other vikas also, like low, moh, everywhere you are starting with something which is not directly the end.
I feel that the others, I don't feel like I could be completely wrong in it, could be pride. But the other vikars may not be as strong here, but this irritation, tendency to be irritated or tendency to want to be right may still play out. So that is currently what I'm working on. Maybe other things will show up after this and to work on those.
I think that's...
The thing is that what happens is that we, even like a lot of these things happen post-event, no? Post the irritation, post the anger. So what we must not do is justify to ourselves. When we are making disclaimers in the words of the sages. So if Maya has clearly said that unless you have the power like Rishi Durvasa turned somebody back to life, then you must not get angry like him or angry at all. So we must take that as the truth and we must work on that. So if we justify, if we said no, but this was because this, everything is because something else, we never do. we always have a narrative to prove ourselves right. So the only problem is that we are the only one who believes that narrative or has that narrative, and the ones around us, usually bearing the brunt of the anger, have a completely different narrative. So, and we have no mechanism by which to say that my story is really better than your story or truer than your story. So suppose that God was sitting right here and He's watching everything, what everyone is doing, what everyone is saying, how they're behaving, how they're interacting, what is right, what is wrong. Then what is my business to try and get angry and correct people? You see? So we take justice from His hand into our saying, I will fix this, I will get into righteousness. This doesn't mean that we can't advise, we can't guide. But if it is coming from the heart, we can. And my heart has never told me to get angry. So far, Krishna has not told me like Arjun to pick up the bow and arrow. He's not told me that. But don't, like many times these can become excuses that, oh, but I was guided to be very careful what you claim as guidance. Also that be very careful of silly excuses like I used to make when I was much younger, that it's all some Shiva energies coming through me and all that kind of rubbish.
I see myself making excuse of, the Maya is very strong and she is just winning. Yeah, that's fine. That's 1-0 for her, that's it.
So at least you have to admit then you fell for Maya. You have to admit then that you fell for Maya, isn't it?
I fell for Maya, yes.
If you fell for Maya, then you have to work on that.
Yeah, but it's more like, oh, it's not me, it's Maya.
No. It's a very common confusion that Maya is the appearance. You see? Maya is the appearance mixed with the sense of me. Maya is Maya. That's also from Anand-Mahima. So if you are clear about that unless I get caught up in the me, what is this world? It's harmless and innocent. That's why when we are empty of narratives, what is there in this world? What can hurt me? So suppose you say you come one day very angry and I am empty, and you say, you're the worst teacher one could have ever had. I wasted all my life with you and you were talking just rubbish and I want all those years back that I gave to you, suppose like that. And if I'm empty, then I'm just empty. But if I take on the position, oh, he's talking about me, and then I buy the narrative, but I always had, his best intentions and I wanted to lead him to God and get involved with the narrative, then we could activate that me, and then Maya, this appearance starts to feel like it has juice. Just appearance without juice is not Maya. And the appearance starts to feel real. It has juice, it has bite, you see, it has gravity, then it is Maya. So if you're just empty, then there's no real difference between you giving me a compliment or you saying you're just the worst. So, and even if you did not take that extreme position of emptiness, suppose that you took on the position of surrendering to God, then all you can do when a child is feeling like that, and thankfully this is not a real report that has come to me from anyone recently, so, but we should be able to say that may God bless them and may they truly find what they're looking for. So really just anything that gets in the way of your being empty, loving God, or loving God being empty, whichever way you look at it, whether jnana bhakti or bhakti jnana, doesn't matter. And you find that in your life what gets in the way are all of these vikars that you spoke about, all of these things like anger, lust, greed, and doership, duality, all of these things. So whatever gets in the way of the true spirit of life must work towards discarding that.
So the character that comes to mind is Nisargadatta Maharaj when you're speaking about these things, because he was known to be quite fiery.
Yes.
And knowing that it's hard to say that no action should be.
So with Nisargadatta Maharaj, one thing you must know is that he was a real timid teacher initially when he started sharing it, to the extent of loving. He was very timid as a teacher when he started. So to the extent of, with all the slippers lying outside, he would go arrange it for his disciples and all that. Then one day it just occurred to him that none of his disciples are really taking him seriously or listening to what he's saying. So then he put on this, at least that's what I heard, that he then decided to be really strong and you better listen, like this kind of approach. So there is some higher intention in that expression, and hopefully that it was just an outer.
So even if it outwardly may appear as anger, if the internal position is that of love, and
but
not to justify that as being a,
so that applies to a sage like him. That will apply to a sage like him. We must not put ourselves in that category yet.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I think that on this path, the more one is with God, the more one is I think then it's not so much about I must not be unkind, I must not be angry, I must be patient, because I think this we are all as human beings unable to keep on telling ourselves and beating ourselves up about not being kind and not being, because the I can never be all that it's made out.
Yes, that's a good point. But I have to say that like sometimes the checker guy is usually very oppressive, yes. But sometimes spiritual pride is set in. So it is telling us the stories of our spiritual progress or enlightenment and these kind of things. But when these things show up, like greed, grasping, desire, doership, duality, all of these things, then we must not brush them under the carpet and say.
No, but yes, what I was saying.
So whatever, sorry, if I can just finish that point, is that we must not get into any of these narratives, like you rightly said. But many times I have seen that many of the Sangha, many of my children get into an early sort of conclusion on their emptiness. And while these things continue to happen, which is not, which is a denial of what life is really showing them, that they're clearly not empty, they're clearly not living in the unborn. If anger is rampant, if grasping is rampant, if desire is rampant, if all of these things are rampant, then we must take the indicator to really look within and say, what is it that I'm really buying into? What is the narrative that I'm really buying into? And in fact, when I was with the Art of Living many years ago, I could parrot everything that Guruji was saying at that point of time. And but then some events happened in my life with my business and things like that, and I went through a lot of suffering. So really, thankfully, this question came that if you are as Ponchela, as accomplished, as much of a spiritual achiever as you believe you are, then how come you are still suffering with all of this stuff? And that question, that inquiry, then led me again to reinvigorate the inquiry of who I really am. I started reading a lot of Nisargadatta Maharaj and Bhagwan Ramana. So, but it could have been, my mind could have easily justified it and said, oh, but these events are happening and it's all right, so it's a balance. It's kind of a balance in the sense that you know from your heart whether you're getting into some sort of a denial or whether you're really not trying to let the checker guy oppress you. So that is the balance, no? Because the mind can take this on and it can take on every pointing in satsang and really use that as a mode of oppression as well. So you have to be a little heartfelt about that. The thing with the checker guy is there's literally nothing I can say that it will not use to trouble you. So the validity of the pointer is where it takes us. If it takes us towards loving God, towards emptiness, then it is valid. If it takes us more into me, then it can be discarded there. Like again, we spoke about Maharaj, so somebody asked him that this particular pointer of yours, it always troubles me, you see. So he said, then throw it away. I've given you 1,000 other pointers, use those. You see, why do you have to resolve the one that always troubles you? So the point really is not to get mastery or get insight into every pointer that you hear in satsang. The point is to have your toolkit of 3-4 key pointers which bring you to that holy place where true insight flowers and true love flowers. Of course, for the exam coming next week, you may need to know. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I won't. No. Father, once you said also really important thing about the checker guy, that vigilance is the way to be. Not have the checker guy behind one, but it has to come from a different space.
Exactly.
And that you called it vigilance, and that if you really sit with that, it's a very big difference.
Yes. So, if you look at any pointer, including, let's say that I said you must be vigilant, Papaji said you must be vigilant till our dying breath. So suppose we take that to be the pointer. So the checker guy can get a hold of that and just start beating you up with it and say, see, Father had said you must be vigilant, you're not being vigilant, you should be more vigilant. You see? And it can make us very unworthy and guilty and things like this. But really, if it is heard in another way, then it reminds us to just empty ourselves up again, be vigilant to any thought patterns being believed. You see? So that is the thing. So the danger with direct satsang can be that the checker guy can become really strong and oppressive for us. The other major danger is that it sounds so straightforward that we may hear it and we just start applying it to everyone in our life. That I used to do this, I became this Advaita jerk for quite some time, that anybody would tell me anything, I would say, like Garima would come from a hard day at office and she would say something, this happened to me. I would say, but who is the I? Huh? Without that question having any juice there, any inclination there. So hopefully the intent was to try and help, but many times we just want to push our way through because we think now we know something, because we know these pointers to be empty or to let go of thoughts. You see? So when to apply them? When you sense that there is openness, when there is resonance with others. That's why we don't force anyone to come to satsang. And I always caution anyone, don't force any friends and relatives to come, because they will just come, they will hear all this, and they'll just feel like beaten up or unworthy, or you see, something may not be ready. So let grace purely guide them in that way. You can check if there's openness, but if they feel like no, then it's okay not to force it. It's okay. Yeah. TNT.
Or even like, I went through something, and if I was finding it hard to forgive someone something, and it's like and it's like you're so focused on the other person, then you think that and then you can't you keep thinking like you're doing the other person a favor or a disfavor all the time, like, and then when you realize no, that it's only about you, and that when you get angry, you've left a great place and gone down a misery path. When you can't forgive, you are the one who is drying up in whatever, and then when you realize it's only you, there is such freedom, because we're sometimes so other person centric. And that really freed me, that the sitting with that.
It's very good, very good. Buddha said that we are not punished because of our anger, but by the anger itself. Yeah. And forgiveness is very important. It's very important. That's why it was kind of my New Year's resolution, to forgive everything instantly. I don't know how I'm doing on that. I feel I'm doing all right. To forgive everything instantly.
Father, A Course in Miracles says lack of love is an attack on God.
Yes.
And I was looking at this, and Jesus Christ said that what you do to your neighbor, you do to me.
Yeah.
The intent is to love, Father, but many times there are times when I fail miserably,
Yes,
and it just it pollutes the whole environment, mine to begin with, and then it shows on the outside. I can't be myself. I can't lock eyes. The intent is to follow, but I don't know how. Like,
Yeah. So what to do when we fail? Like it also says in A Course in Miracles that love holds no grievances. So, what to do when we fail? We recognize what made us fail, we notice those triggers, you see, and we intend even stronger not to fall for those triggers. And your intention, then the power of your intention becomes stronger and stronger. So when that trigger comes, if you made an intention, no, not that one ever again. At one point I used to say that let us not fall for the same trick over and over. Let's fall for new tricks. If you've fallen for a trick from the mind, say to the mind, no, not this one ever again. You better bring me new material if you want me to get caught up. So identify the areas with which your buttons get pressed, you see, and intend to throw away that remote.
Here, many times it's not outward anger, but it's a resentment. It's held for some time, some days, because it doesn't. It's not loud and expressive, but it both are equally harmful. So,
Anger leads to resentment, resentment leads to hate.
but I don't know how to work with this.
Leave justice to God. You see?
Sometimes it's very foggy. I don't even see. Like it's the trigger is not clear.
Yes.
I don't know
But
what's.
once you find yourself in a state of resentment, you will notice your inner environment is not fully at peace. It doesn't feel light. It doesn't feel, the ease of being is not there. You see? So we must keep praying, 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 or inquiring, 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 till our environment comes back to that. There's nothing like a wound where there's nothing we can do now to heal it. You see, but God heals everything.
It's very painful.
Yes. Yes. That's why it is an attack on ourselves. An attack on ourselves. Because, like you said, sometimes it doesn't express outwardly, but inwardly it is making the environment of our heart temple, making it contaminated, polluted.
So when you said, okay, you can't be angry, Anandamayi Ma said, for some time.
So don't let irritation become anger, don't let anger become resentment, don't let resentment become hate. All these are inner alarm clocks which are buzzing hard, which means run to God, run to God, run to God. Find out who you are. You see, find out who you are. Who's been attacked.
Other when you said the first time I heard this, I felt okay. I was in denial. I said, okay, I don't get angry so much, but on a daily basis, there are so many times I get irritated, and it's not. I don't express it. It doesn't come out as anger, but then it's held inside, and I can see it tastes really bad.
It's important to see that taste, because that means that you're starting to care more about being with God rather than being right. You see, it tastes good when you care about being right.
And that for one moment of that feeling, it takes many hours for me to come back to God.
It's just not worth it. It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. Anger is a bad deal. Resentment even more so.
How do I deal with it, Father?
Pray, Macha. Pray, inquire. Sometimes a simple inquiry can help. If you're feeling very attacked, then just ask yourself, who is the one that is attacked? Ask yourself now. If you're holding something, who is that who was attacked? Who is there? Can happen.
Not able to.
Yes, because what can happen is the question probably took you off guard, took the mind off guard, so now it is like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Who is there that can be attacked? Is it an attack on the body? So the body is what we take ourselves to be in this Maya, you see? But actually the body is just an innocent instrument. Which other me is there?
The one I take myself to be, Ishana.
Yes, but there is no such one. Is there such a one?
Yes.
Yes. Where is it? Where are you?
I'm here.
Yes, but the one that is here, in what way can that one be attacked? What word can attack you? What weapon can burn you? What can harm you in any way? Where is Ishana? Just a concept. Or a set of beliefs. So, emptying ourselves of these false beliefs is to be rid of avidya. And if some beliefs are retained, then those beliefs, much as we, that I am a servant of God, I am a child of God, I love God, just about God. You see? And then as we get closer and closer to remaining fully in God, then even those will not seem so real. They'll seem very sweet and innocent and nice. But it's like we join God in playing His Leela. What do you want most in your life? So, what does it mean to want God? Or when will you know that you succeeded?
When I'm not here.
Yes. Whether we call that recognition of the absolute reality of the self, or we call that a divine merging, a divine union. Till then we must not become complacent. And anything that contaminates our heart space must be shown the door.
What do you mean by complacent?
That's what. So anything that contaminates our heart space in our temple must be shown the exit route very fast. We cannot be like that very corny theme song from a Hindi movie, but apt sometimes. Like Krishna is telling Arjun, "Na pyar jata dushman se yudh kar." That don't love your attachments, don't love those which are getting in the way of God. Fight. Be rid of them. You see, the thing is that if we felt like there's no time, then we would really fight. But because we have this idea that there is time, we feel like we can allow it to fester for a bit, and it'll resolve all this thing. So those who really have a fire for God must then set fire to all that is false as quickly as possible.
I see the resentment thing bothering me, and I want to be free of it. It's an obstacle. I see it as an obstacle. It takes me away from God for a few hours, and it's not a nice feeling. And
Actually, resentment, the way I look at it, anger can take us away, disconnect us from our just simplicity of loving God, His presence for a few hours. Resentment can be fairly long drawn.
yeah,
It can go on for weeks, months, years sometimes.
I've been one on it.
And because we don't like experiencing that, and we feel like the other person caused it in us, then we start to hate another. We like, you did that to me.
I'm seeing that every time that plays, more than attacking another, I'm attacking myself.
Yeah.
Like it.
Because you have no way of attacking another. You can only attack another with their permission. Just like you can be attacked by another only by your permission. If you're empty, like I said, what can attack you?
Yeah.
Or if your only position is to grasp on tight to the feet of God and be loving Him with all your heart, what can happen in this world? I see only your feet. If that is your attitude, either of being just empty or I see only the Lord's feet, then what will one do? And remember that without pride there is no resentment. That may be a tough pill to swallow, but we must be proud somewhere that we feel that we are so right, we feel that the other one is so wrong, that we know something so deeply that we must take on the grievance onto ourselves when God is fully aware of everything. What is our business in the world? To judge our brothers and sisters, to hold anger and resentment against them. See? Can that be our business in the world? That can only be our business in the world if God is not real. But if He is real and He is here and He cares and He can do everything, then what? So at worst, maybe you can just say, if somebody is really attacking you, you just go inwards and say, are you seeing this, God? Are you seeing this? That's all. You can lament a bit and say, देखो देखो आपके राज में क्या हो रहा है? You see what's happening in your kingdom. Sometimes if you're very frustrated.
To add to what she's saying, then if there's nothing happening, then it's like, are you spineless here? I mean, at least stand for right things. And so those things, I mean,
For yourself?
yes.
Or you're lamenting with God?
No,
like Tukaram ji.
It's whatever you're saying really feels very difficult.
But how do you know what is good or right?
Sometimes isn't it pretty obvious?
No. If it was that obvious, it'd be obvious to everyone. And if it is obvious to everyone, then they would do what is right. Is it? So, because another who is making you angry has a different version of what is right or what is acceptable or what is true. Is it? So, what is good and what is right is only, I've said this often, is only what God is guiding you to. So, if you say to me, which I will question very hard, but if you say to me that God guided you in your heart to be like Arjun and pick up your bow and arrow, then it is right. And in that moment, that was his dharma. For Buddha to go to the jungle to leave his responsibility, that was his dharma. If it was if the story was told another way, if Krishna had told Arjuna, keep your bow and arrow down, you are right. You must leave this Maya Jal, it's only trapping you more, you go to the jungle, and Arjuna became a great enlightened sage, then that would have been right. So our dharma is only what God is telling us to do. So when you stand up for that which is right, you better make sure that we know that from God within. Otherwise, in every war, in every conflict, in every argument, both sides think they're right only. The whole trouble is that everybody feels like they're standing up for the right. But the right is coming from the wrong place, not the right place. And why does it need us to be aggressive, be angry when we are standing up for the right?
Maybe again, it's a justification coming that it's impacting. Let's say my wife is angry, so it's impacting not only me, it's for my kids also. Right? So that justification comes. I should at least stand for my kids, not for me. You're laughing about it.
And your angry will help the kids. They'll probably be more upset with you after that.
No, so
like I said,
so once again, it's the only resistance coming further is that it will be I know where you're coming from, but I feel it will be a passive life, a vegetative life, if not even standing up for your. What do you think? Sorry.
No. Of course, that is the resistance. That I'll just be a doormat. I'll just become passive. Everybody just walk over me. Everybody then just does all these wrong things, and I have no say left. No, you still have a say left, but don't get angry. You have a say left. I'm not saying become voiceless. You see? Things can be communicated in kindness and compassion. I know justification will be that only after all those things are exhausted do we go to anger. So that part of our life, unless God is truly guiding you from your heart, and actually if any of you said that, I'm not buying it. But really cut off that part from your life. It's like we don't have that instrument. Huh? That's an attempt here. I'm not speaking from a position of having transcended it fully. I'm just saying the attempt here is, it's not a mode that I have. It's not a siddhi that I was given. How to get angry. Should live like that. It will be really funny if somebody says something in today's satsang and I get really angry about it. Hypocrite.
I saw that, like, when I'm with that family, and then all the triggers make me.
Of course, that's what families are made for.
Yeah, but I saw that, after you said that, I made the intention that I'm not going to be angry, and then you gave me all those stories, you're passive, you're so right, whatever happened. And I said, no, because I made that intention and stopped even mid-sentence, and I said, okay, I'm going away somewhere, and then I saw something change, and I came in my heart, and I could reply to whatever needed to be said from a completely different space. I was not passive, but I was not, I am right or angry. And I felt that even if that one didn't agree with me fully or like accept it, but it did something. At least it did something for me to not go there, but I could see that it did something, but they were still in that stage, and I don't know, it was quite a new experience that no, it's not being passive, but it's being guided from a different place completely to do what needs to be done. And that gave me so much confidence to let go of that anger. Not that it's happening so often or whatever, but at least I know that it's that I don't buy that story anymore, that you're passive and I'm right and nobody you can't, that's all lies. I saw the lies of that one.
The image that's coming to me is that maybe the simplest is just to keep dipping ourselves in the cooling waters of the Ganga, which is God's presence in our heart, and then these things they'll play out less and less.
Actually, because I have to thank Ishana
Give her the mic.
staying with me. And she made me see how angry I used to get for even.
She provided all the.
Yeah, no, she was the checker guy in my life. Look how angry you are. Look how angry you are.
So, but the reason also was her only.
No, these are wrong. I mean,
The other is never the reason.
no, she was the.
There is no other. The Advaita police is getting born. Just once I asked her, who am I? After years, and see the Advaita police is already. Give her the mic.
No, it kind of forced me to look. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it was just making
Of course, it's very good.
She was like, I mean,
That's mature, because mostly if you're reminded of our anger, we get more angry. Good. Is it on?
Yeah. That part where Christ says, what Lord Jesus Christ says, what you do to your neighbor, you do to me. And that,
It's very strong.
if I had to take the last 6 months, for example, I think I've hurt him a lot. If I look at that, no, like in my relationships, day-to-day relationships, there's so much if I literally look at that statement and say, what you do to your neighbor is what you do to me, it's very stark. And it's like, I would never do that to him. So then why would I want to do that to my neighbor?
But if I can speak a little bit, I have no authority to speak on his behalf, but I feel like he would also tell you that every time you notice it and you endeavor to make a change, you take away some of his pain. Every time we forgive, every time we are kind, so it's not just a one-way street. Your tears are compensation enough for that, as long as you act on it from now. You know, our families always told us that when we started in spirituality, at least most of our families would have always told us, what is the point of your satsang? You still get angry, you still have all this. And I didn't realize that they were right. They were right. They were not wrong. I'm realizing now, after so many years of being in spirituality, water, stretching, everything. Go by 7 anyway. Huh? I'll go soon. Notice that there's certain sort of thing that happens when we sit together in God. And that day when I took the break, I felt like something breaks in that. So rather have a shorter satsang and all of you remain in that rather than breaking the... Do you notice it, what I'm saying? Just like something gets activated, you know? Like a fire of satsang collectively burning. Then I feel like something in the middle just puts water on it. So whether we approach it in the way of removing our false notions, getting rid of our egotistical nature, or more deeply loving God, in either case there is no room for all of this grasping, duality, separation, anger, lust. And the same way we work on anger, we work on all the other aspects as well. Did I open a Pandora's box now? Everybody's looking very worried. Slowly, don't. One simple thing that helps me sometimes is just like, what is the inner environment I want to keep for God? If God was visiting, He'd made a booking to visit my house. Would I not clean up His room? I would. So what is that how fragrant do I want my insides to be for His presence? He has gifted us with His presence anyway. That's His mercy, His kindness. But what is the inner environment? If you went to a friend's house or some relative's house in a different city and you were visiting there, and you walked in and you just sensed that there's too much strife, there's too much anger in this house, there's too much infighting, there's too many, whatever other things which are possible in Maya which can contaminate a space, then you would not feel welcome then. You would not find yourself comfortable in such an environment. They give you a room, you close the door, but you can hear fighting from the outside. So why would you want to give such a place to God within ourselves? So it's a question of faith. The more we feel He is here, He is truly here, the easier all of this becomes. Isn't it? Huh? The audience of one becomes the most important then for us, exactly. And He has been so merciful. He has said, whichever way you want to relate with me, I am here for you. Some call Him Father, some call Him brother, some call Him mother, some call Him child, some call Him beloved. But He's never turned anyone down or away because of the notion, the simplistic, tiny notions that we can apply. She has never turned anyone away. He has never turned anyone away.
So one thing I've been noticing a lot is you talked about this inner environment and what is it that makes our inner environment not suitable for God. And this trigger that has killed me over and over again, this vasana that keeps on coming, it's an intense fear, if I was to label it. And the message that comes with it is, if you don't take responsibility, those you love are going to experience excruciating suffering. And myself, I'll experience it, but that's not even, it's those I love are going to experience excruciating suffering that just pulls me into the thinking mode, the worrying mode, and it just creates this seeming separation.
Yeah. So, everything that makes you more worried and anxious in the mind, just throw it away. There's enough pointers. So use the ones that bring you peace, bring you to your heart, bring you holiness, quietude.
The worries play out in a very, the problem that the mind presents is seemingly very practical. Yeah. Like for instance, I'll give a very concrete example. The other day, I got an apartment in Tiru, and this electrician came to install the geyser. And right before leaving, he said, "Shower, no good danger. Only bath. Because you get electrocuted."
If you put on the shower, it could be dangerous, so have only the bucket bath.
I think there was a translation issue, but then I started doing research, and online, if you want to find problems, they're abundant. And
Sounds so much like Thiru.
right after the full moon, too, the full moon's happening, I'm on the mountain, and I hear this the day before, so I'm in this state of just full surrender, and this thought comes, a gun to the head. You or your loved ones, Christina's here, she's gonna get electrocuted, and who knows what the mind could present. So it's seemingly practical, but also the worry that comes, it's not practical steps, it's just chaos and anything to pull me away from.
Of course.
letting go.
Of course. It'll pull every trick in the book. Everything. Everything. To transcend the mind is the most difficult project we can ever take. So don't expect it to be easy. That makes it easier. If you expect it to be easy, then we make it difficult. Okay, let's look at it practically. Okay, we are talking about achieving. I'm using very because we are making it practical. We are talking about achieving the presence of God and living in that presence for the rest of our life. Yeah? Now, if we compare it to worldly things, if you want to achieve a monetary goal, like you want to become a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, or you want to get the most beautiful, best looking partner in the world, or you want to have a body which you could use for these bodybuilding competitions and win Mr. Universe or something like that. Okay? So how much effort or difficulty do you feel like you have to go through for any of those things, worldly things first? Lifetime project, isn't it, to build that kind of muscle or to get yourself to a place that the most beautiful partner in the world will be attracted to you, or even to become very, very advanced in a particular field of study, engineering or medicine or any field of study. You say, but that'll take a lifetime, you see. But when it comes to being with God, which is the highest, then we want it to be just easy. But I've come to Satsang. Why isn't it happening? You see. So the ease of just being with Him, being in Him, being as Him, that ease usually comes after facing a lot of difficulty. I have not read an autobiography of any sage which said, just some few satsangs, done.
And can I present the worldly goal as it's being revealed, and I see this habit, and this is where identity this is where all the problems come. It's almost like having experienced, though God isn't experienced, but knowing that state of invulnerability, of fulfillment, as the mind came in and claimed at some point. Somehow this is where the mind plays the role and the ego plays subtly. It's like, I'm not really aspiring for worldly things, however, I'm aspiring for a state of what my mind is claiming to be a divine state. And so when the sense of vulnerability or fear comes, it's a subtle movement. Problems are created in order to alleviate that that sense of vulnerability and replace it with another feeling, which is invulnerability. But it's taking something so beautiful and turning it into a process.
So the simplest thing you can do is just start as a beginner this moment. Nothing has happened to you. Forget about it. If you don't start as a beginner, then it's very difficult. All of us have to start as beginners. I try to just remain a beginner as much as possible. That's why it is still so exciting to me when I come across a great book by a sage. It's so exciting, I feel like, this is oxygen. Because I don't feel like, oh, this happened to me and that happened to me. And those things just become things where the mind builds us up so it can just attack us. So if you're always in innocent beginner mode, nothing has happened to you. No experience, nothing in the past is important. What you've seen also in the past is not important. If it is not here now, it's nothing. So return to being an infant whenever you remember to. Think of everything that has happened in the past as a dream. It was a dream, it's over now. I'm here now. Otherwise, we'll hold on to awakening experiences, so-called enlightenment, all these kind of things which will make us proud, but will become the very fodder for us to be attacked by the mind. Yeah.
And maybe if I could ask, after sharing all that, a question, if I was to frame it into one question, is when this fear or desire creates a practical situation, but the root of it is seen to be like...
What do you mean by creates?
Something, it just tempts like, I don't want this, whatever that is, without labeling it. And as soon as it's believed that I don't want this...
But when did you not want it?
Huh?
When did you not want it?
Okay, let's say...
But you were just born. You're a beginner in this world, you were just born.
I was just born, but at some point I fell for temptations.
No,
So that
all
point
that is
of...
gone, it's a dream, it got over.
Okay, let me stumble through the question.
Okay. That means I want to still say what I want to say.
No, I think there's a question in this. So unpleasantness comes, and there's the ability to watch it in purity, in a neutral place.
Yeah. Unpleasantness, you mean as what? Sensation?
Sensation.
You see, but how unpleasant is a sensation without a narrative? Something comes, like there's pain in the shoulder.
So that's the...
But what does it actually mean without the story? Not much.
So the problem that you asked, the problem created is the narration. The seeming practical problem would be that narration. So that narration was...
Is proposing a problem?
Yes, a proposed problem comes.
Exactly.
The proposed problem comes, but there's the knowing from within that it's coming from fear. It's coming from... It's not really a practical...
So it proposes it, and then what? We know it is proposing because attention is difficult to manage, so fine. But even with attention, does the proposal seem like a reality?
Not until it's believed, not until I take myself to relate to that.
Exactly.
But the question here would be, however practical that proposed situation may be, to not fall for it, and however strong that seeming responsibility is, but if it's known to come from that stench of ego, to just lay it down at God's feet and stay in Him.
Okay. Something is coming for me to say to you. See if you can take it to heart as much as possible. It will become very difficult if you take the base constructs to be true, to let go of the constructs that the mind is offering you. You see?
And the base constructs
Are of course I, but even these ones about this is what it is, this is how this creates this, and this is what happens. Just let's start fresh. Empty. Now what can happen? A thought can come. A sensation can be there. A geyser electrocuting the family. That with the shower they didn't know, and electrocution is happening.
My responsibility to
Yeah,
tell them.
yeah.
So this is coming.
Yeah. So this thought is coming. You see? Now, what can the thought do to force you to believe it? You're an infant, you're just born. You're looking around at this world, empty.
It makes me believe I could do something about
It makes you?
the I who I take myself to be.
No, you don't, because you are empty right now. That's what I said. Just empty of any other construct. Just together, both of us do, okay? We are empty. The thought is coming. Geyser is on. Or whatever.
Yes, it can't. If it doesn't pull me into identity, then
It can't. Can it pull you in?
seemingly.
Well, it can seem attractive. Okay, let's admit to that. Some are more
It seems
attractive.
attractive, but also when belief is given,
Yeah, but I'm saying pre-belief. Pre-biting the apple. You have no past. You have no history. Now a thought is coming. What will it do? It's a mere thought, just a bundle of words.
family, I have no body,
You have no relationships.
no relationships. Yes.
I'll talk to Christina in a while. Don't
Yes, in this place, it's open and
Yeah.
available to God.
Yeah, to God, exactly.
The most beautiful place.
Now, as you left the space open for God, do you feel like the non-existent Majid could take better care of Christina than God, who is now apparent and living in your inner space?
No. But the gun comes and says, but if you don't become
No,
magic,
but that is with the presumption, then if you leave it to God, then God will not do anything about it. You feel that I will do, but God, who is running this entire universe, doesn't care about Christina. That's not true. He is the most loving.
and from that I could say, if practical steps need to be taken in this empty space, action will move and things will be taken care of without the need to.
Maybe we just get rid of the word practical
Okay.
and we just say life. Why do we have to categorize?
I
He's
don't need
taking
to.
care
I
of-
don't need to take shape if I fully surrender to God without
Yes.
taking shape.
Yes.
It's all well.
Yes,
It will be taken care of.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's good. Be careful of the categorization of spiritual and practical, real world and spirituality. It's another trick of the mind. God is taking care of all of this. Is it practical or spiritual? You are breathing, our heart is beating. Is it practical or spiritual? He takes care of everything. Just this morning we were talking about it. I played a bhajan last time. The words of by Kabir Daji, so beautiful. He said, just trust Ram with everything, trust God with everything. And like he makes tiny pieces of food available to every ant, and he makes huge bunches of food available to elephants, he will also take care of everything that you need. And what did that remind us of? Jesus said, don't be anxious. A bird is not anxious that where is the next meal going to come from. Of course, paraphrasing. So, and Nanakji said, Guru Nanakji said, a fish is not anxious. God feeds the fish every day. So the one who's taking care of the tiniest ant to the biggest elephant, why will such a beautiful one not take care of us and our loved ones? So this fallacy that this I have to do, but this I doesn't even exist to do anything. It's like the fictional character here has to do so much to take care of all the fictional attachments it has.
Would that not lead to people not working at all?
People not working at all, very nice. They'll become like me. So there too, whenever we speak of surrendering to God's will, we feel that two objections can come up. One is that what if it leads to a passivity that we just sit in bed all day, and the second is that means anybody can just do anything and say it was God's will. You see, but it is not that. What is being said is that we follow our dharma as the dharma is revealed to us when we stay in God's presence. You see, so to remain empty of the me is to give the space to the Atma within to run our life, to guide us to. So then when you give it a chance, then you can start hearing the Antaratma. Otherwise we blocked it out because we think we already know what to do. You see? So this, like we were talking earlier, if Krishna had said to Arjun, go and fight, that was the right dharma. If Krishna had said to Arjun, you keep your bow and arrow and you go out to the jungle and become a sadhu, then that was the right dharma. Why? Because that is what God said. But we have lost that. We live in a presumed idea of God's will because we've lost touch with His presence. The Atma is here for us, but most of us don't recognize the Atma is here. The Holy Spirit is here. And that is why we lead this zombie life where we have to presume everything instead of just following His will like little children, like innocent ones. Does it seem too far-fetched? It takes some time. Okay, I'll catch up with all of you next time. Remind me to pay more attention to the online hands next time.